That in. Welcome to Of Dice and Dens. We are no longer directly in an adventure. We're going to do a little bit of characterization today. I already did Jason separately because he was unavailable today. So you won't hear that voice. I'll probably cut that in the middle here somewhere. I'll be doing Jen's separately as well. But with us today, currently, to my left,
is Kimberly,
who is playing
Navia the Centaur Fighter.
And to my right,
is Airy,
playing
Elishana, Kalashtar Cleric.
Which, I'm glad that you said your real name first this time. You were learning.
Shut up.
And then in the ether is...
And on the phone is Jeff playing Fiznik.
So yeah, today we're going to be doing a bit of character work, so it's going to be very different from what we've done in the past. Very similar to stuff that you may have heard on Adventure Time, only my story writing is...
Zone.
Yeah, that one. Well, the Adventure Zone. Except that I'm probably not as good of a writer as Griffin, nor do I have the free time. So...
Griffin doesn't have free time, it's just his job.
Well, okay, I'm not being paid to do that.
There you go.
If you guys want to give me full-time work, I will dedicate all my time to this game.
I got attack. Yes.
Alright, so we'll start with Navia,
Okay.
the one for whom I have the least amount written.
Oh, cool. Let me pull up my
Either that
bio I
means
wrote.
you are not going to have a story, or it means you have to do the most role playing.
She does.
I definitely do. I definitely do.
I knew the answer. I know how you work, Daniel.
Open my message with Daniel.
It's been probably 3-4 weeks since, you defeated Lord Darvin and helped put the city right. Got your own house in the town, from my understanding. What have you been doing? I know you've been waiting for the sword to be forged.
Right. There's a town militia, right? Or is there a town...
Not a significant one at the moment. Most of them kind of, all the dudes died going to fight Marshmal. Yeah, there isn't a significant militia. There was some guards for Lord Darvin, and they're kind of still doing kind of that job.
Okay, I'm mostly training in my downtime.
And as kind of a general thing, during that time, new people have been showing up once the fog lifted and it didn't seem cursed. So the town's starting to kind of go to an upswing of people and stuff.
I have, in my little bio I wrote way back when, one of my hobbies is painting. So I'm painting.
All right.
I'm doing some painting.
Okay, cool.
Are you finger painting?
She's from Finger Paint Land as far as everyone.
No, I use a brush made of horsehair.
That's convenient. You could be a violinist or a painter, and you have all the supplies at the ready already. Okay, so you've been painting, and you just kind of...
Practicing my swad. Just keep myself...
So you were part of the army.
Yes.
So are you a deserter now?
No.
Because you never went back and you never finished your mission.
Good point. Could I have sent a message. Like,
Sure.
hey, I'm here for a bit. Everything's something. Probably send like a report back of what happened.
Okay.
Request,
That makes sense. That could actually be why there's more.
Yeah,
people
I sent
here?
a report back. Like, here's what happened. I'd like to stay here for a bit and see.
Okay, I would say that then a contingent of the army is there to help with repairing the city, getting them back in order, kind of getting their lives back in order.
Yeah.
And you're in charge of them.
Okay. Yeah. Totes.
All right. That sounds fair. All right. Well, one day you get a notice that your sword is ready.
Oh, sweet. I'm gonna go get it.
All right. So you go to the Steel Hermit. And he shows you the sword.
Is it gorgeous?
It is a very beautiful sword. Tell me what it looks like.
Sword.
Okay, so the sword originally, it started out as the Moonbright sword. So and we know that it glows.
It glows with the light of moonlight.
Moonlight. So it's kind of got like a silvery, shimmery hilt, and the pommel is a moonstone.
What's a moonstone?
It's a rock that's a moonstone.
Is it real or is
Yeah, moonstones are real.
Moonstones are real.
Are they like opals? What are they?
Kinda.
They're like kind of transludish, whitish.
Yeah.
Okay. So he hands you the sword, and as you hold the sword, you have a memory of your father.
Aww.
What is it? Where are we? What are we doing?
Okay. Let's see. We decided they died when I was 8 or 9.
Mm-hmm.
I was trained to fight by the elders of the herd, maybe not necessarily by my dad. I'm pulling up my bio thing again. So I've got 2 younger siblings. Maybe the youngest sibling is a teeny tiny baby, just a little itty bitty, kind of wobbling around like, you know, that comic of the baby, the baby centaur. And he's teaching me how to hold that knife in case I need to protect my brother and my sister.
Okay. Okay, so where are we?
Just on the road, like, cause the herd is nomadic, so it's just someplace we've camped for a few days.
Okay. Navia. So what you need to do is place the knife like this. How is he showing you how to hold the knife?
In my hand.
Okay, but how? What is he doing with the knife that's special versus just some dude who would pick up a knife?
Oh, I don't know. He just puts it in my hand and makes sure my grip is right. So I'm holding it securely so it doesn't get knocked out of my hand.
So by putting your fingers like this on the blade, it makes it so that even if it's hit very hard, the knife will not break away.
Yes.
And then, does he only show you how to hold the knife, or does he show you how to use it at all?
Yeah, how to swing it, and there's a pole post, like a fence post.
Okay.
And I'm swinging it.
Okay, so he says, so what you need to do is aim right here. And he points below the ribs.
Okay.
He's like, right here in the middle, but below. And he shows you to go up. And he tells you, if you try to go straight, all you'll do is hit the sternum. You'll do a scratch, but you won't stop them. The key is to stop momentum as quickly as possible.
Won't that kill him?
This is to be done only when you're in a situation where either you or they will die.
I don't want to die.
So swing up.
Okay.
Okay, and now we are going to cut to the day of the raid.
Ooh. Okay.
So now you have a memory there. You're a little bit older, probably 2 years older maybe.
Okay.
So maybe you were 6 then, now you're 8.
Okay.
And it's Tabaxi. And you see many tabaxi, large manes around their heads, like a Maine Coon or Norwegian forest cat or lion. And they're the tabaxi aren't really they don't make their own food. They're basically scavengers of other people, other tribes, and so they are invading your camp in order to take supplies. You see your father and mother. There's an alarm raised as the raid starts happening. And your father turns to you and hands you the knife and says, "What do you do with this?"
What do I do is this?
With this.
With this. I stab under and up.
Correct. So then you see him and your mother pick up arms and go out and fight. Mm-hmm. So what do you do? Where do the children go when there's a raid?
I imagine the older children look after the younger ones. They get away from the fighting.
Okay, but they're coming from all directions.
Oh.
So where do you go?
Probably in the middle?
Okay. And are you considered the older one?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm older.
All right. So you're in a semicircle around probably the campfire.
Right.
With the teenager centaurs in front holding weapons. They've been trained like you, but again, not skilled.
Right.
And you look around and you're trying to see what's going on. It's night. It's dark. You can see tents are lit on fire by the tabaxi as they're raiding through. And then you see a tabaxi take down your father. And then you see another one take down your mother. And then they're getting closer and closer to the middle. And then one kind of breaks through the ranks of the centaurs. They don't see him come through. And he comes at you guys. And he comes directly at you. What do you do?
I try to do what my daddy taught me to do.
All right, let's do a roll for this one.
Okay. And while mommy and daddy are getting killed, I'm like trying to shield my brother and my sister from seeing it. Trying to cover their eyeballs.
So Dee Dee's not helping with the dice roll.
No, she's not. All right, you want just what do you?
Just do a D20.
I'm not.
You're not gonna have any proficiency in anything, so.
18?
Oh, dang.
You go.
Desperation, man.
You go under and up, and you see you look into the eyes of the tabaxi as you do it, and he is shocked that an 8-year-old horse lady, who makes you probably about as tall as he is, because tabaxi aren't super tall, and centaurs are going to be taller than most normal humanoids. So you do the thing, but he falls on you and your siblings.
Oh, no, that's
and kind of pins you to the ground
scary.
Until you can hear, it takes a long time, but you can hear it quiets down, and the centaurs start looking through the dead and injured to try to validate, what's going on. And the elder finds you and moves the tabaxi, and your siblings are fine.
Good.
But obviously you're all a bit freaked.
But messed up.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he helps you to your hooves.
Uh-huh.
He says, "Are you okay?"
I think so.
And he looks at the tabaxi and looks at your hand.
Uh-huh.
And you're still holding the dagger.
Yeah, but probably not even realizing I'm holding it.
Yeah, and it's,
this point,
obviously all covered in blood.
He died.
So he takes your hand with the dagger in it. He says, "You did well. You'll be a fighter one day."
Thank you.
And now we're back at the blacksmith shop.
All right. I'm crying a little bit. Not gonna lie.
Dagmar is there.
Okay.
And she's got a really bright look on her face. So it's going to have these abilities. Indomitable. So that means that if you are reduced to 0 hit points, you can immediately make an attack with that weapon before you fall unconscious.
What?
Shit, yeah, baby.
That's awesome.
That's amazing. Considering how fast I go down.
Right?
Brawler. If the D20 for an attack made with this weapon is a 19 or 20, You can force a creature that suffers damage from this weapon to make a DC 14 strength saving throw in addition to any damage caused. On a failed save, it is knocked prone.
Ooh. So basically, I'm possibly just like, I hit it so hard it falls down.
Yeah. Or you kind of wedge it and knock it to the ground.
Okay.
Dagmar tells you that when she looks at that weapon, she can feel that those powers are in that weapon.
Ooh, very cool.
And that's because, you stood your place when that creature came at you and took it down, just like your father taught you to.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Very cool.
Now what?
I'm gonna go try it out.
All right.
I'm like practice? Are there like practice dummies or something?
Yeah, I'm sure you have some set up.
Yeah, I'm gonna go try it out.
Okay, and you go use your weapon.
Yep.
Okay. And that's Navia's story.
Woo!
So it's probably been, it's been a few weeks since the end of our adventure.
Mm-hmm.
You all, from my understanding, found houses,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of moved in, I guess.
Sure.
Is that what you did?
I assume so. I'm
Did
sorry.
you
did you want to
did
speak
you-
to me, or did you want to speak to what's his
Is-
name?
What's his name in there? Can I talk to? So like, did he want to kind of ranch, or what kind of thing did he like? How is he basically paying for his? Because the goodwill of rescuing an entire town only lasts so long.
Sure.
The fog has disappeared by now, by the way, and like it's a beautiful town.
Right.
There's people who are starting to show up from
Sure.
outside of the town.
Mm-hmm. I think what's his name? He can do some whittling. I'm pretty sure he could sell his goods, as an arts and crafts gentleman. Maybe he sells lizard milk. It's possible. I know that lizards are not mammals, but
This
maybe
is
he's
this is a world that we're inventing. If you want
Exactly.
your lizard to produce milk,
Yep, my lizard
then you-
produces milk. And,
Okay.
but she's cool with it being sold because I'm sure we have some kind of a connection where if he's got to make a living, he's got to do it somehow. But he wants to do it in the most cash way possible because
Right.
he's busy reading, he's busy meditating, trying to remember. That's a lot of what's
All right.
going on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, one night, you go to bed. You find yourself sitting on the wooden porch of a quaint farmhouse.
Mm.
In front of you, rows upon rows of corn are visible. You hear music. It's like no music you can remember, which honestly doesn't mean much in your condition. It's twangy and upbeat, but with a melancholy. You look down and realize it's you playing the music and singing, though the words are so garbled you can't make sense of them. You're dreaming. You've had this dream almost every night you can remember. As you listen to the music, you realize there's a second voice singing, but again, it's garbled and unclear. You look to your side and see another person. You see them, but you don't. You try to focus, but they seem to blur more the harder you focus. It's like trying to look directly at a dim star in the night sky. As you are both singing, the sky grows dark and the air around you gets uncomfortably warm. You look back to the fields. They are now on fire, and a giant black obelisk is standing in the middle. Some sort of pattern is glowing a bright red on it, but again, you can't seem to focus on it. You and the other person stand. You can't see their face, but you know there's terror on it. Suddenly, black wisps of smoke shoot out from the obelisk. They feel as if they are alive, weaving and contorting as they spread out along the landscape. One tendril is heading directly toward you. In a flash, it has started wrapping around the other person. They scream. Suddenly, their voice stops being garbled, and you hear them shout, "Help!" The face is clear now. Who is it?
I mean, boy, I'm assuming this is my sweet, sweet lover. My sweet, sweet lover named. I mean, I wouldn't know her name, so.
You do right now.
Oh, I do know her name right now. Okay. I mean, that's assuming it's a her. That's not fair.
Yeah,
It's
that's on you.
It's my final sweet, sweet lover. My most recent sweet, sweet lover. I'm just gonna keep saying sweet, sweet lover. Bob Newhart. I'm just looking at records on the wall. The only name I know is why is this taking so long?
I'm asking you for it's a big ask.
It is a big name. Nask. It's a big Nask.
It's a big Nask.
You know what? Billy. I just realized that's accidental. I'm looking at a note that has the name Billy on it. It's nothing to do with the fact that I've just watched a ton of.
Now I'm gonna have to. I need you to be clear here.
Yeah.
Is it a he Billy or a she Billy?
It's a he Billy. It's a he Billy.
Okay. Thank you.
I don't know how binary my what's his name is, but clearly he's
You call back their name, but it's too late. You're now being wrapped in the black smoke as well. Just as Billy is completely enveloped, your vision goes black.
Shit.
You awaken in a sweat. The dream has never been so clear before. You realize it wasn't a dream. It was a memory.
Dude. I don't like that. I mean, I guess I do because I know something now, but
yeah,
it's good to know things.
Yeah. That's your little bit there to help you drive your character.
Yeah, that's
you now
good.
know that you and Billy somehow were wrapped in the smoke,
Right.
and now you're here.
Yeah.
Another thing that you remember from your dream
Yes.
is that your guitar isn't just a guitar. There's actually some magic to it.
Okay.
You're not 100% sure if it was like that before, or maybe however you got here caused it to get some magic.
Okay.
But when you attune to it, which you will be because it only takes like a long rest to attune to something, it gives you advantage on all ability checks that require charisma.
Ooh, all right.
So, yeah, anything that has the cha next to it, you get advantage on. Cha. Also on charisma saving throws, you provide advantage on charisma saving throws for anyone in the party that can hear you playing music. So
That's dope.
everyone gets advantage on saving against charisma. So things like charm, which are charisma based,
Right.
they have advantage on saves.
All right.
It comes with, so when you start with, it'll have 3 charges. And you can spend those charges. Either one charge can be spent to cast Charm Person or Charm Monster,
Okay.
which means it doesn't use one of your spell slots to do it.
Okay, so it's its own thing.
And it's
all right.
one charge, so you could do, right off the bat, you could do that 3 times. Or 2 charges can be spent to attempt to stun a target.
All right.
Because they'll get mesmerized by your music.
That's fucking great. Okay.
And then once you've spent all your charges, after a long rest, you roll a 1d4 to see how many charges your guitar has the next day.
All right. All right. I like this.
Yeah. This was created by Kayla Dalliance. Does she have a web page? I probably should have looked that up
Probably.
before.
Probably.
So she's basically got a blog that has a lot of DM resources. And she probably has some adventures and stuff she's made. So check her out at justkwritesontheweb.wordpress.com.
Okay.
So you can check her out on Twitter. Her Twitter handle is justthinkingk. That's a little bit easier. If you go there, you'll be able to get all of her stuff. But yeah, so she made 2 other cool items, and she made that one just for Jay because I won a contest.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's kind of great. Yay. Thank you then to her also.
Thanks for listening to episode 18 of Dice and Dens. This was interesting for me. I haven't done a whole lot of homebrew stuff for this particular game yet. A little bit, but not a whole lot. I had to go back and take a look at everyone's backstories they wrote. Sometimes even remind them of the backstories they wrote. And figure out not only how do I broaden these characters, but how can I tie that into something in the game. I learned about this DM's Guild thing called Ancestral Weapons. It was a module someone put together where instead of having to keep trading out your weapons, especially someone who has, say, like an ancestral weapon, a weapon that belonged to their family or something, where they wouldn't want to get rid of it, how do you upgrade the weapon instead of giving them additional magical weapons that they have to trade out? Being able to do the backstory, especially with Navia and Elishana, not knowing where that was going to go, made it very difficult. Like, I couldn't plan the weapon ahead of time. I had to wait and let them role play and then find out where they go with it and come up with a weapon based on that. And I think that came out really well. It got dark. It got a little dark. Hope you guys liked it. By the time you're listening to this, the charity that I've been touting for a while, Fuck Cancer Roll Dice, will have finished its deal. It was a heck of a lot of fun. We were Friday night. We were the last one, and it was very interesting. Silver Ace did like her own homebrew world. She's actually been writing a whole environment for, and so we got to kind of experiment with that. Enjoyed it. You can find that, like a VOD of that at twitch.tv/FCRD. And you can kind of watch that. And I got permission to download it and reshare it. So I may put it as an episode of OD&D Presents, as well as uploading it to the OD&D YouTube. So keep an eye out for that. That being said, you can contact us at odndpodcast.com. Reach us at Twitter at odndpod. Find us on Facebook at OD&D Podcast. Or email us at odndpod@gmail.com. And please visit stolendress.com, where we are also hosted on there. And you can find all the other podcasts that are related to it. You know, Dan J's Comedy Hour podcast, What's With You, Scooby-Doo, Comedy on Vinyl. All of those are there. So please check it out, stolendress.com. As usual, most music in this episode was created by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com and licensed under Creative Commons Attribution License. Lashana.
Oh. I do not know how this shit works.
All right, so like I said, it's been probably a couple weeks, a month. What have you done during that time with your chickens in your farm? And your potted plant that has now hatched.
Yay!
So I was reading the thing. The pot breaks when they come out. So you have the one use of it. So now you have... What plant did you decide to put in it? Did you decide to keep the pot plant in it?
I think so.
Okay, so now you have a baby pot plant.
Aww. It just...
And 3 chickens.
My entitled chickens.
Your entitled chickens. Entitled chicken game.
Yep. Well, I forced Dagmar to move in with me.
Okay.
Because I'm a cleric, so I insist on healing and...
She still goes back to her place because that's where all her stuff is.
I've been moving it slowly into a shed in the backyard.
It's a lot of stuff.
I know, she keeps wandering back. And then I have to coax her back with some books and stuff.
The fog has cleared, and more people have shown up.
Yeah.
But not any other Clash Stars.
I hung a shingle outside of my house, and so,
got a sign.
Yeah,
a swinging sign. Got it. Okay.
So it says, people go through and people of the town all come to get healed or...
Okay, so you're actually using your skill. Everyone else has been like, Jay's a freaking bard. What's he do? He sells carvings and lizard milk.
No, I'm a
the
healer.
Fighter,
That's what I do.
She paints a pretty sunset.
But I can only work on days that I don't roll a negative disposition, which have been getting harder and harder. So I think sometimes Dagmar's taking care of me.
Okay. Well, so you go into your, what is it, a trance is when you go to bed? You don't really sleep, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Because you don't, or you sleep but you don't dream.
Sleep, but yeah. No, I think what happens is I go into the other world. So sometimes I can sleep, and sometimes my Olatic talks to me, makes me stay up playing chess with him.
Well, this is one of those nights.
Damn it. He doesn't understand. I don't know how to play chess.
But he's not here to play chess. It's just him in a chair. When you appear, you see him, as you often do, and the realm around you is kind of vague. Like there's no walls, there's no floor, there's shapes, but there's no
It's like
definitive.
Janet's void.
Oh, there's shapes though. It's dark, right?
It.
It's a dark area with shapes, but nothing that's easy to see. And sitting in front of you in a chair, as apparently you have often seen, is a figure in really nice nobleman's clothing with a head that's basically smoke, black smoke. You feel like there's features in it, but at the same time when you try to see them you can't.
So this is just what I usually see, right? This isn't new.
No, this is Alatic.
Yeah. But so I've been seeing it since I was a baby.
Apparently so.
Yeah.
You hadn't really established that you saw him in your background, so.
Oh yeah.
So now I know that this is what you have been seeing. But he's sitting there, and he's like, says, Elishana, isn't it time that you turned yourself over like the rest of your family has to the darkness?
No, the darkness scratches. I've told you. I'm not interested. This is getting tedious, Ulatic.
I agree, because it is inevitable.
No, it's not. Just because my family tends to go towards your direction, most Kalashtar's are good and not like you.
So they would have you believe, yes.
Yeah. That's what my parents told me. That's what their parents told them.
Let's do a roll.
What kind of roll?
Let's do a d20.
8. Yuck.
I like mine.
You feel this compulsion to the darkness. You can feel it pulling at you. And it's harder to fight than it has ever been before. You feel like he's been getting deeper and deeper into your mind.
Does Helm, do I have any...
So you start walking toward him, and then you hear a voice from behind you. Hey, Lashana, don't do it! You turn around, and you see a Nalfishne standing there. Aww. And this is the first time Fru Frustella was more than just a stuffed animal. And he's telling you, don't do it. And Ulatic says, it is inevitable. She is coming to the darkness. And you can see, now you have this compulsion pulling you the other way. Exactly the same. And you're there, you don't know how long. Hours, days, years. It feels like forever where you're being pulled both directions and they're telling you not to go to it. And Ulatic says finally, fine. Let's have a test then. And then there's a flash, and you're standing in a Temple of Helm. And in front of you is a young girl, very sick, probably hours away from death. And you startle her father, who's crying over her. He says, oh my goodness. Helm has answered my prayers because you're wearing your amulet of Helm. Please help me. He explains to you that this girl is dying. His daughter is dying of a very rare illness. But an alchemist in this town has discovered a potion that can cure it. The ingredients are very rare and expensive, and he charges 2,000 gold pieces per potion. But the father knows that that's at least 10 times as much as the ingredients actually cost him to source. With friends and family, he has scraped up 1,000 gold for the potion. But he went to the alchemist, saying, my daughter is dying. This is all I have. Can you please just sell me the potion? And the alchemist told him that he discovered that concoction and he's going to make money from it.
This doesn't sound familiar at all.
What do you do?
And my powers with Helm can't help?
No. Reminder, the Helm is the god of protection of the innocent and the infirm.
Yeah.
What do you do?
How much money do I have on me?
None.
I know.
Zeros.
What power? Like, what?
The only thing that can save her is that potion.
Oh.
For those of you at home, if you want to look this up, it's called the Heinz Dilemma. Continue.
Give her ketchup.
I was gonna say, is it spelled like the ketchup?
So Frou-Frou and Elatic aren't there.
Nope, it's just you, this father, his daughter, and
Can I?
down the road, the place with the potion.
But we're not
It's
in
after-
the Temple of Helm.
You are in a temple of Helm.
Oh, can I pray to Helm and ask for guidance?
You pray.
Okay. Helm.
No response.
Helm.
This is a test.
Oh. That's not fair. Like, Elatic is not my god. He's not my patron. Shake down the alchemist? Like... Explain to him that he's being...
This is after
immoral.
hours. He's unavailable.
Oh.
And he's one of the few people who do not live in their shop.
Well, I don't know. I can't heal her. I don't know what to... This is a stupid test. Capitalism at its worst.
Socialist.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, we live in a
Feudal.
semi-feudal socialist.
I mean, you could always just go steal it.
No. I'm a lawful good, aren't I?
I think you're lawful
Then
neutral.
Oh, am I? No.
Or neutral.
Or neutral good.
Neutral good. something
I'm
like that.
lawful neutral, I think.
So, as a bit of a reminder, your god is lawful neutral, or at least,
Okay.
in whatever edition, he's lawful neutral. And his goal is to protect the innocent and the sick and the dying.
That's true. But Helm hasn't done his job.
Well, that's why you're
How am I
here.
supposed to be... How am I supposed to be a helper of the innocent if I myself are not innocent? Although I've never really been innocent. And
Helm is the god of basically helping people who can't help themselves.
yeah. Except he's not helping right now.
Or is he?
Well, fine. I go look in the shop. Like, look through the windows.
Yeah, you see it sitting right there.
I can't just sit down and refuse not to answer, not to play. Because I feel like
Okay,
if
well, she'll die.
But we're in a different realm. It's not a real thing.
Do you want to roll an insight?
Yes. But I don't have my... Is it just based on D20? Not who I
We'll
am?
just roll it.
4. Not a good insight.
I mean, you're pretty sure this isn't fake.
What? Pass. I'm not good at these sorts of things. I don't want to steal it because then it's just... Who's... Take it, leave the 1,000. Does he have 1,000 on him?
Yeah.
Oh,
he raised
so
1,000.
He has 1,000.
He tried to buy it for 1,000, and the guy refused to sell it to him
Can
because
I
he
write
says
an IOU for myself?
Sure.
I don't think that'll work. What kind of sickness does she have? Is she like coughing blood? Is she?
Yeah, she's covered in sores and just her breathing with rattling and labored and shallow. It's definitely obvious that by morning, she'll be gone.
Can I speak to her, or is she unconscious?
She's unconscious. All you have is what the father told you.
So keep in mind, the guy only paid 200 gold for the ingredients.
I know, but still.
Sorry, I'll shut up. This is your story.
He's an asshole, but you can't just become evil just like him. You're stooping to his level. I feel like Cheaty right now. So he just owns the IP. All right. Does she have is there like a handkerchief or something of hers, or something I can wrap the money in?
What?
I don't want to give him illness.
No. I mean, you could, but it's not spread that way.
All right. I'll just leave the 1,000.
Okay.
This is why I work better in a team.
Okay.
I can't make these
You
decisions.
find that the door is actually unlocked.
Yeah.
And you, okay, so
I'd be fine with breaking a window anyway. I'm sorry, all I'm seeing is Martin Shkreli. He's the guy that jacked up the insulin.
Oh,
or the
fuck
AIDS.
that guy.
No, the AIDS medication.
Fuck that guy.
Okay, so you leave the 1,000 and take the potion, and you return to the Temple of Helm.
Yes.
And hand it to the father, who is thanking you, and he's crying, and you help him because he's shaking. He's so excited. You help him give his daughter the potion, and almost immediately the sores disappear, and her breathing becomes normal. And then there's a bright flash, and you're back in the void. And Elatic says, "Drat!" And you can see a very happy smile on Frustella's face.
I don't get it.
And says, "Well, I'll just get you next time." And you wake up in bed. Your disposition die is now a D6, not a D4.
Okay.
Okay. And we'll say that when you woke up, you're at a 1. You
Yeah.
don't need to roll for that one.
Yeah.
So you get up and you go start preparing for the day, preparing your spells like you always do. And so, and of course, you think on the spells that you have memorized, and they're not there.
What?
You cannot remember any of your spells. But then something creeps at the back of your mind. You know these spells. Elatic has slipped these in.
Oh no. That's not good.
Why don't you read it for the class?
There's a necromancy one. Infestation, which is conjuration. Primal savagery, transmutation, and vicious mockery.
Oh, jeez.
But those are all sorts of things, aren't they?
They absolutely are.
But
they're all one thing. Not nice.
yeah. Fudge.
So you go through the day and you definitely avoid using any of them.
Yeah.
You go to bed and you wake up the next day. Why don't you go ahead and roll another disposition? D6 now.
Oh no.
And you roll a 1 and wake up again with those spells. You were supposed to roll a different number so I could tell you that on a 2 or higher you have your old spells back.
Oh.
It's when you wake up with a bad disposition because you had an interaction with Elatic.
So it's not evens anymore, it's just anything over 1? Or
anything higher than a 1, you can still treat it however you want as far as your attitude goes.
Oh, got it.
But a 1 gets you those spells instead.
Oh, Oh my gosh.
That's amazing.
That's Aladic invading your mind.
Slowly but surely.
Slowly but surely.
Don't call me Shirley.
Can I just... the second day I just curl up with Frou Frou Stella in bed and don't come out.
But also, you find your sword of Helm has some abilities on it.
I have a sword of Helm or my mace of Helm?
Your mace of Helm, sorry.
Oh, okay.
I even asked you earlier.
Yep. That's why I knew what you were talking about.
Let's see. I'm gonna give you Indomitable as well, because it seems right.
That's the one where before I pass out,
you get one more hit. Yeah, one more potential hit.
Were those people from were they just random, or were they people from our village?
They were from a village you've never been to before. That's the great thing about gods and demons. They can put you anywhere.
Well, at least I don't feel guilty about the Martin Shkreli.
I'm also going to give you spell storing 1. Okay, so you get to pick one level 1 spell to store in your weapon.
So I don't have to memorize it?
Nope, but that weapon always has that one spell. So I'll give you until next game to think about what spell you want to put on your weapon. And you get to cast it once every long rest. So basically gives you this little extra spell.
I don't have to memorize it, and I don't... Does it use a spell slot?
Nope. Basically, you've got one spell stored in your weapon.
Nice.
Its attack bonus is 4 and the save is 12.
Nice.
So it's a little bit weaker than probably what yours is.
Yeah.
And I have one more point to award.
Does that mean I can memorize other spells on one day?
That spell is always in the weapon.
For these ones.
Those are cantrips. All it does is replace your cantrips.
Oh, got it.
You have your spell book and you memorize those spells. These are the ones that you know in your head.
Got it.
And he removes the ones you know and replace it with other ones. And I'll give you Death Ward, which gives you advantage on death saving throws.
Nice.
All right. That was Eloshana's piece of the story. Grin, good pots. It's been probably 3 weeks-ish since the events of you saving the city.
Mm-hmm.
You all got houses and were, I guess, kind of chilling out.
Mm-hmm.
The fog has dissipated since then. What have you been up to these last few weeks? What's your life been like?
I've probably been fixing up my house, and I'd imagine that I'd be checking in on the family I met and
The Fletchers?
Mm-hmm. And I'd probably be checking around town to see if anybody needed anything, because I feel like my character is kind of restless, and
I think that's
also felt like if you're gonna get to know people, you might as well be useful.
So you're kind of becoming like a town handyman kind of thing.
I feel like, yeah, but I'd probably try and make things look nice too, because I have an artist in me.
That's true. That's fair. All right. So one day after visiting with the Fletchers, you're at home and you're thinking about the family you had to basically run to protect.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us what they were like. Tell us what your life was like before the inciting incident of your character.
the oh the kids that I found, or
You were the daughter of a potter,
mm-hmm.
and then yeah, you found some abused children and you released them. But what was your life like before that happened?
Oh, okay.
Well, who were you before you were on the run?
Well, I was in a potting family, and we were known for making very reliable pots that were useful and convenient for people, but not always not ugly, very well made, but very traditional and
Very more functional than
yeah, not trying to break any of our molds, as it were. And I was more interested in exploring some new things, and I wasn't always encouraged because it takes a lot longer to design something new than to keep making something that was designed really well for its job, and everybody needs them to live a comfortable life back home. So um every house needs them. So the less I made, my parents didn't really like
Got it.
me wasting my time too much.
All right. So, inevitably, your memories do go back to that night, that day. Let's what happened. Tell me what what was Grin's day like that last day.
So I feel like I had a big deadline to finish unloading all these pots to deliver and make some fill the heat the kiln back up for the next round. And so it's a lot of work, getting all the things checked before I can deliver what a winery needs for bottles. But I got them all done, and I was a little late delivering because I wanted to experiment with some things I wanted to make, and I may have I had something I made loaded up into that kiln too, so I was sort of admiring it and put it into my pocket, and then loaded up all the cases and took a cart over to the winery. It would have been getting dark and kind of foggy.
Okay.
It looked like it was going to rain, and I showed up. Normally there's somebody waiting for me, but I had to knock, and then they took a long time to get to the door, and seemed a little out of sorts, and no one, it was just one person. Normally there's a few helpers that can move the stuff to the back. So I went in and helped carry things to where they went, but I noticed some weird sounds coming from behind, like a shelf.
Okay.
That sounded kind of upsetting, so that's why I went back, and that was through the cellar, and I sort of knew that there were two ways to go in, and we had been going through the back way, so I sort of jam something into the lock so it seemed like it would close all the way, but I hoped that it would not.
Uh-huh.
And
So your early rogue times right there.
I had, I always have a little ball of clay in my pocket, so
Right.
I sort of just slipped a little in there. I would stick it together but not let it lock. And I pretended, my usual goodbye and walked off, brought my cart home, and then I ran back and grabbed, a few sharp tools and scissors and took my my dad's knife and ran back, and sure enough, it was dark again, but I went and waited till I didn't hear anything coming from the place, and then I snuck in and found that shelf and lit a little lamp and opened it, and that's when I found all the kids. There were 4 of them in there, but it looked like there may have been more at one point. And when I talked to the children, they said sometimes there were more of us yesterday, but we don't know where they went. And they were really pale and dirty and seemed, there were 2 of them that seemed despondent and 2 of them that hadn't been there maybe as long.
How little were they? Were they very little? Were they older? Was it kind of a mix?
There was a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old and 2 8-year-olds.
Okay.
And there had been a 12-year-old, but they were one of the ones that disappeared. And they were made to do some menial labor that required small hands. And they'd been beaten and weren't allowed to really speak to anyone. And they were just mostly fed like leftover mashed grapes and bread. And
that
water.
Sounds like a very, very bad jelly sandwich.
It seemed like there were a lot of bugs down there because I think that most of those mashed grapes had probably been sitting around for a long time, and it was pretty disgusting. The smell was really horrible.
Oof.
And there definitely wasn't any plumbing down there. It was sort of a bucket system. And nice. Yeah, it was just, they were all really scared and just horribly treated. So I knew that if the way out was actually pretty short, so and straight, and I had left the cellar open, so all they had to do was climb up a little ladder with pretty small rungs. So I told the older kids to let the little ones go first and go behind them so that if they slipped at all, they could make sure that they didn't fall, because they all seemed to get some energy back when they realized it was there to help them get out.
Very nice.
So I thought, okay, they can probably climb the ladder because it's not very long. And I let them out. I watched at the door to make sure that I didn't need to close it right away, and they got out, and I had shut the shelf, but it sort of creaked at the end.
Uh-oh.
And then I heard some very fast boot falls up stairs, but they sounded like they were on the second floor and I was in the basement, so I whipped right out of there. And started to run. I got out. I don't think anybody necessarily saw me. I know that the lights went on and that the doors were open, so they started looking outside. The kids were pretty well far ahead of me, so I was pretty sure I was safe, and I had given them directions to family friends' house who didn't have any children that I knew would feed them that night. I didn't know that I'd get caught, but I planned on joining them. I headed towards that house to make sure that they got to the door, but I ran home to get a few provisions, and I just kept going. I didn't really get to leave a note or anything because I saw torches going around town, and I really didn't think that I wanted to drag my family into it, so I didn't want them to know where I was going or where I was from. They didn't ever seem too close, but they multiplied. So I had to leave as fast as I could.
And how long ago was that?
It's been like 11 months.
All right. Well, you are kind of shaken from your reverie from a knock at the door.
I'm gonna sort of peek through the window.
You see a young man standing at the door wearing kind of urchin clothing.
I'll open it.
Hello? Or he takes his hat off and holds it, trying to be all polite. It's like, are you Grin?
Yes. Who are you?
My name is Byron. The Janice and Bobby, the kids you helped.
Mm-hmm.
I was the 12-year-old they told you about. I'm 13 now, but I had actually managed to sneak away, and they told me about everything you did, and I needed to find you because I want to be like you. I want to help people like you. I want you to train me to be like you. And then while I was on my way here, I heard all these stories about you fighting vampires and wolves and helping people, and I just knew I needed to be like you.
Do you have a family, Byron?
No, ma'am.
Well, you do now. You can stay here, and I'm going to find a family that can help you if I have to leave.
I won't be your squire. And he kneels.
Oh, get up, Byron. I don't need you to do that.
He stands up. I'm sorry, ma'am. I'm sorry. I won't do that again. Sorry, ma'am.
It's okay. You don't have to be sorry all the time.
Uh,
How did you escape?
Well, I just one day when the master got a little bit tipsy, I managed to slip past him in a crate of oranges.
Wow. How long did you have to stay there?
I was there since I was. I don't even remember when I got there, ma'am.
Wow. Well, that must have been frightening. Where are you from?
Where are you from?
I don't actually think of where the town is called.
Throw out a name, it'll be canon.
Oh, I'll name it after one of my old characters. Stoutmeyer.
Oh, Stoutmeyer, same as you, ma'am.
Okay. Well, I will try to make a dish from our hometown, tonight to welcome you.
Thank you, ma'am.
In the meantime, if you need a rest, I'd be happy to let you, relax and refresh yourself.
Thank you, ma'am. It's been a long journey.
I would imagine. There's time for stories and plans later, but give yourself some strength.
I'd like that, ma'am. All right, Grin, you now have a commoner as a what did I call it again?
Squire?
Squire. You have a commoner as a squire. So
Is he gonna become king of all England one day?
we'll find out. It depends on how well you train him.
Okay.
So I will put together some stats for that, some basic skills,
Okay.
things that maybe you taught him, as well as things just he can do.
Okay.
He's not going to be a super strong.
No.
But he's small.
That's true.
Compared to you, he's probably about the same size.
Maybe.
I don't know. 12-year-old, he might be taller.
Depends. No, 12-year-old boys aren't as tall as 12-year-old girls.
I don't know. After like 2, I can't keep track anymore.
Okay. Got it. That's fine.
All right. Cool.
Yay.
That was it. All right, Fiznik, Mr. Man.
Yeah. So thanks to that.
What have you been up to?
Purchasing a fez. No.
So that you could be Feznik instead of Fiznik, or
Dude,
Fiznik, or Fiznik's Fez.
don't give me bad ideas. I'm sure we could come up. I'm sure we could come up with some sort of cursed object that is in fact a fez. Thought for later. So, as a warlock, Fiznik has been mostly isolated into his new home, redecorating, drawing summoning circles in the middle of the floor, then covering them up with a rug so nobody judges him. Yeah.
Well, they're a little bit better with magic, although warlocks are a bit of an iffy magic. She has a couple of warlock spells on her bad list.
Yeah.
It does look like it.
Which bad warlock spells? Eldritch Blast?
She's got Chill Touch.
Yeah.
That's not a warlock spell. There's only one. No.
Fair enough. Sorcerers have one spell, Fireball.
Yep.
Yep. So anyway, generally spookifying up his cottage, spookifying and naturefying, right?
Spookinaturing.
Spookinaturing, because he probably found the most run down of the cottages and then has kind of been nudging it back to nature through the magics, making it look kind of like a hobbit hole.
Aww.
Yeah. And build.
Why am I not surprised, Fiznik?
Yeah.
Forest gnome. What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do?
All right. So you've had a long day of that, and you go to the Lucky Bandit or whatever, the tavern to get dinner and a drink. As has become kind of a habit for you.
Mm-hmm.
You're greeted by Aisling. Welcome. Nice to see you again. Can I get you your usual?
Yes, and the booster seat, please.
And she heads off. And so you're there, and you've been kind of in place for a while, so you've been thinking about your patron who wanted you to find stuff, and so
reclaim magic.
Let's rewind a couple years, shall we?
Yeah.
You get the booster seat. You take a chug of ale, and then you start falling. It pauses mid-fall and says, "I bet you're wondering how I got here."
Exactly.
So we rewind a couple years, and you are in the country of Paxani. You heard about these mushrooms that grow. Paxani is a mountainous island, like multiple island country. It's got like 3 really large islands and lots of little islands. It's in the north, and it's very cold. And it's very mountainous. And you heard that there are mushrooms that grow in the leeward side of the mountains that can cure rare diseases. Ooh. Things that cause a pox and a shallow breathing. And this man in this town sent you to find these for him, because he knows you're good at finding special, herbs and stuff, that is your skill set. And so you end up in the mountains north of Dusk Hollow. So you've been walking around these mountains for a while, looking for this rare mushroom, and you see what looks to be the entrance of a cave. So, do you head on over to it?
Of course.
All right, you head on over to the cave.
Gnomish curiosity.
Of course, yeah. Curiosity killed the gnome is what they say, right?
Just inside the mouth.
Right.
Just inside the mouth of the cave is a pile of dead gnomes.
All of them wearing a little button that says "Curiosity killed the gnome." And you're like, "Crap, it's my people."
I love you, brother, but I'm gonna leave.
As you approach, it's not a cave. It's actually the remains of an ancient edifice rising toward the mountaintop. Carved into the side of Strawman's Peak, hidden from forest view by craggy bluff, your eyes light upon a smooth stone entryway. Ages of frost buildup, integrating the construction into the mountain itself. As your eyes further adjust to the brightness, you perceive a sizable stone column beneath layers of snow to your right, the base of its fellow having caught your attention upon arrival. The bare hand-carved planes of the fallen column, only lightly dusted with frost unlike the rest of your surroundings, indicate that it may have just recently fallen. You brush the snow from the stone doorway, as you are a nosy motherfucker. And you see some language, an ancient language with roots in Elvish. What languages do you speak, Fiznik?
All of them. Let's see. So at this time, I would not be able to read anything, but
right, you're just a gnome.
Yeah.
Just a regular dude.
Let's see. Then I speak Gnome and Sylvan.
Okay, that's pretty close. Let's roll a history check.
And Common.
I presumed. Otherwise, this would have been really awkward all around.
I learned Common later in life.
So it's Common as a second language.
Yes. Oh, that would be an amazing character concept. Okay, history. Let's see. 9 plus 4. So 13.
All right. It's not hard for you with the languages that you do know to kind of essentially get the feeling that it says, show the sign and enter.
For those listening at home, Ari just flipped off the camera.
For those of you not in this room, I flipped off the camera.
Nothing happens.
Okay. So give the sign and enter or proceed, or what was it?
Show the sign and enter.
Show the sign.
The door has intricate designs weaving across its surface, meeting at the center in a shape in a round shape.
Round shape. Can I investigate the door and see if there's anything else that might give me a clue as to what the sign is?
Sure.
22.
Right. So you investigate, and it definitely looks almost like it's like a keyhole, but not. You do find some of the mushrooms you were looking for.
I'm gonna pick one of the mushrooms and
All right.
try and put.
As you do so, vines start popping out of the ground and forming a shape in front of the doorway you were just investigating. And they form themselves into the shape of a doorway with a door handle on it.
I open the door.
Okay, you open it up and pass through. Suddenly, you are in a glade. It's a very autumnal looking. It's like a good maybe 65, 70 degrees. The trees are red and yellow and orange and just a fire with the colors of autumn. And there's a path leading forward, and as you walk down that path, it leads to what appears to be almost a throne, just kind of built out of the ground as if it's just a natural chair.
Oh.
And in that chair, you see a fey being.
Ooh.
It's not unfamiliar to you because your family has passed through the Feywild and you're very familiar with your surroundings. You can tell that it's not a normal old woods, but definitely a magical Fey-style woods. And in that chair is that Fey person. How did you describe him? Do you have your character sheet?
Give me 30 seconds.
It's on page.
Oh yeah, the Fey in silver.
Yeah.
So
you gave a very brief description of what it was like.
Yeah. A man with flowing silver gray robes, dusky silver skin, and piercing purple eyes with flowing white hair.
He says, "Welcome, and you are?"
Biznick Mulby, sir. Looks around nervously. I'm gonna die.
That door you were investigating, that's not for you. So I gave you one for you. What is it that you are on this mountain for?
Well, I'm a gnome of the forests, and I just kind of wander in the forests and forage and And
Well, you were on a mountaintop near an ancient temple entrance.
oh, that's what that.
That does not sound like your modus operandi.
Apparently, Fey is Latin.
Yeah.
Well, I was looking for these mushrooms, and I hold it out to him, and say,
Oh.
and it was getting dark, and I kind of stumbled along. I wasn't entirely sure where I was going. I was just looking for these mushrooms, and I found one. And as soon as I found it, boom, I'm here.
Yes, the Mobius mushroom. Very powerful fungus. One that can bring some almost back from the dead.
So I shouldn't put it in a stew.
Well, it also tastes great. And it's great for the skin. I drink a bowl of Mobius mushroom soup almost every morning for the last 2,000 years.
That explains the complexion and the light sheen to your hair.
Why, thank you. You flatter me. So are you just a truffle hunter, or what is it that you do when you aren't finding mushrooms on mountains?
Well, I tried. I tried to learn the ways of the druid, but I'm not very good at it.
Yes.
I get
You must be from that village down below, the druid village.
not exactly. I had an argument with some squirrels.
Yes.
Things-
We've all been there, my friend.
Things were said.
They are chatty and they are catty.
Things were said. Hurtful things, my lord. Hurtful things. Things that can never be taken back.
Well, on the discussion of things, do you like to find things?
Well, my people are known for finding things and themselves in things.
Yes, I heard about the pile of gnomes with those pins.
I had nothing to do with that. They were like that when I found them.
Would you like to find things for me?
What's the catch?
The catch is that you must bring them to me instead of keeping them for yourself.
Okay.
I have a collection of curiosities I keep in my castle. But it's hard for me to travel in the lands outside the Feywild. They are barbaric and weird.
Is this just Jeff Goldblum in Avengers?
So, what I offer you is great magic power in exchange for neat things. That is all.
Like wizard powers?
Very similar, only you don't need to do any reading.
What would I have to do to get these powers? I wouldn't have to sleep with you, would I?
Not unless you want to.
That's an awful long pause.
No, I'm good.
All right. Then we will shake on it. And he stands, and he towers over you. He's a good 13 to 15 feet tall. At your height, you can't even make a judgment on how tall this man is. And he's very slight, and when he walks, he almost floats. And he walks towards you, leans over, and puts out his hand.
And Fiznik spits in his own hand and holds it like straight above his head. As if he's like raising his hand in class.
So he takes your hand. His hand is very cold to the touch.
No.
Almost icy. And a little wet in it.
Does his hand stick to?
And as his hand wraps around your hand, you feel a jolt of power go into your body. You almost feel like you might be glowing green when this happens, but obviously there's no mirror, so you don't know. You can kind of see your hand a little bit, and it feels like there's almost electricity going through you. And in your head, you know how to do magic now. You just know how to do it.
What?
And it's things like Eldritch Blast and such.
His favorite.
Mm-hmm. Every warlock ever's favorite.
And so then the Fey Prince returns to his seat and says, okay, next time I need you, I'll summon you. I know where you are at all times.
Okay. So I just...
One thing, there is one particular curiosity I would like you to keep your eyes open for.
Ooh, okay.
It is an amulet. The shape of an hourglass.
Amulet.
Mithril and set with green emeralds.
Emerald, mithril,
And then-
hourglass, amulet. Got it.
And then there's a flash. And you're back in the town of Dusk Hollow, which is the closest town. And you have an entire armload of the mushrooms.
Ooh.
All right, the end.
All right.
Not really. No, you wake up from your revelry, remembering, because there are some loud ass voices in the tavern. It seems like they are they're telling secrets, but saying them loud enough they're hoping someone will hear.
That was me in middle school.
Two men are sitting at a table talking about this large treasure in the evil kingdom of Nimressa. Maybe a week's journey from here. But they would need help in order to, get in and get this treasure.
I smell an adventure coming on.
Does Fiznik want to talk to them, or?
Yeah. So he kind of turns in his bar stool a little bit and leans his ear not so incredibly subtly in their direction to try and glean more information from them.
And they start speaking up because they want him to hear it.
You see them kind of lean back in their chairs to get closer to you. Because they're not dumb. They discuss this kingdom of Nimressa and how the queen there is a dictator and how she, just wants to crush everyone.
Wendy.
And they want to take these riches and redistribute the wealth among the poor and the needy in that country. And, maybe fund a little bit for themselves. You got an army, travels on its stomach, but they need an army. At least 5 people. Perhaps ones with a skill set for taking down evil leaders. There's not just gold coin. There are magic items and jewelry. They hear that the time amulet is there.
It's kind of like that cartoon thing where they're writing notes very quickly and then they hear something suddenly very interesting and they stop and they look up like,
yeah,
that's what happened.
That's what they've been saying. So what does Fisnik do?
He slides off the stool and as fast as he can leaves the bar and runs to find the rest of the party going, I have a quest!
And that's where we're going to leave it. An evil queen with a secret treasure? What new adventure awaits our heroes? Find out next time on Of Dice and Dens, a D&D podcast.